Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video, I'm going to give you an update on my Maxx, the Hype Nitro deck list. Also kind of give you a different way of looking at playing Maxx and just kind of give you my general thoughts that I've had over the past week of just playing with it on Talishar and kind of, getting a feel for what might be the best suit for the hero, at least early on until we find out even more fun stuff. But yeah, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoy your stay. If you're a long-standing supporter, thank you so much as always. Feel free to check out the Patreon and the Discord down below. September was an amazing month for the channel, and let's keep it going into October as the set releases. Have a lot of fun. But yeah, so Maxx the Hype Nitro, I did a deck tech the last week on kind of just a good tempo like aggro-based build based around moonshots and maximum velocities. This build is completely based around Nitro Mechanoid. Your ultimate goal is to get Nitro Mechanoid out very, very quickly and be able to essentially just overwhelm your opponent with 7, 8 charges, and it gets pretty nuts pretty fast. Being able to just go into Nitro Mechanoid and just overwhelm your opponent with damage, but also continue to boost, continue to do other things as Nitro Mechanoid is hitting. And I think that early on, I think this is the best way to play Maxx. At first, I just wanted to do like a good aggro plan. I didn't know how consistent the Nitro Mechanoid build would be, but I would say out of, 15, 20 games, I've gotten Nitro Mechanoid out on turn 3 like 3-4 times now. Super, super consistent. And you can just, even opponents like Bravo who have really good blocking power have a hard time just dealing with it overall. But yeah, we'll get right into the list. So what's different from the last list is we took out the moonshots, we took out the maximum velocities, and we're basically trying to play like above rate attacks or attacks that work really well with the Nitro Mechanoid game plan to be able to make the most and get it out fast. So the obvious start and play line for Maxx when you're trying to build Nitro Mechanoid. So Nitro Mechanoid says transform target head, chest, arms, legs, weapon, and 3 hyperdrivers you control into Nitro Mechanoid if you don't negate this. So there's a couple ways we want to get it out. One, Maxx is going to want to always go first. We're running equipment here that doesn't pop. It doesn't break off temper. It doesn't break off anything like that. The only thing it could do is like you get Tumultide or something like that. But overall, there's not much a way for them to get rid of our equipment. So we have the Cogworks-based legs over Achilles Accelerator. Yes, we do not have the AB that we want, but really the Nitro Mechanoid build, you kind of just have to run this. I like the Cogwork-based legs because I'm able to attack with Banksy for 4 or another attack, like give it a little buff before I change the Mechanoid without actually popping the boot. And you run so fast in this build anyway, you're not going to be pitching 1 to AB very much regardless, in my opinion. So we have that. We have the Galvanic Bender, which allows your Mechanoid to have +1 attack while it's under it once you transform, which is really useful because when you transfer the Mechanoid, you transfer into 3 hyperdrivers, and then all of these go under 2. So you have 8 total charges. If you don't have Galvanic Bender, you would attack 8 times for 5 until you can attack anymore. With Galvanic Bender, if you save this as the last thing you take out from underneath, it attacks for 6 every time. So you get 8 more points of damage, which is really, really nice. We have the chest piece, Technical Bounty Heart, pretty simple. And then Viscertronic Model. We are not running Hyper X3 because it eats our hyperdrivers, and we literally don't want to do that. I tried to make it work. I tried to make it to where I use stuff like BIOS Update and other things to, maybe make it both work, but it fights your game plan. You have to run Viscertronic Model in order to, make all this work. So getting into the list, we obviously have Nitro Mechanoid. We'll talk about a couple sections. One, we have the when this hits, put an item into the arena cards, which is Expedite and Medex. We have those at red. We don't have them at blue just because they're really below rate. But at red, if one of these hits, if the opponent doesn't respect it, we can just drop a hyperdriver onto the field. And we can even crank it if we so wish to gain an action point, or just leave it there. It's really nice to just leave it there because if you have a play line where like you have, let's say, a hyperdriver with 2, you made a hyperdriver turn 1, you didn't crank it, you just arsenal passed, and then turn 2, you expedite boost, it goes down to 1. They don't respect it, they let it hit. You drop a hyperdriver down, that's 2, and then you use a blue to Maxx, making your 3rd hyperdriver, and now on turn 2, you literally have 3 hyperdrivers. It's really, really nice. Like I said, I've gotten a full Mechanoid build turn 3 like 3-4 times. So both of those are in there. Other things that help keep our hyperdrivers alive, we have stuff like recharge, which is really nice in the early game to be able to keep them alive as well as buff your attacks. We have a 1-of gas up in case we boost away one of our hyperdrivers. Most of the time in Maxx, if you don't find them these 5 super early and you boost one away, you're always going to have like 2 up most of the time. It's just getting that third one. You either need to find one of these in hand or not crank one turn. So gas up allows us to immediately just go get the third one, which is really nice. Then we have Big Bertha at blue, and then 6 crankshafts. If these are boosted away, they put a counter back on our hyperdriver, which is really, really nice as well. And then finally, BIOS update. It says the next time a mechanologist item which costs 2 or less is banished to pay a boost cost this turn, put it into the arena. So if we play this and then boost away a hyperdriver, again, it puts it into the arena. As you can see, there's a lot of ways in order to do that for us to get drivers out very quickly. The final stuff is just really good above rate attacks. We're running throttle, 0 to 60 zipper hits, just like the above rate boost cards. And then also running crankshaft, obviously, running pulse wave harpoon, which is a common staple. And then running T-bone. I actually like the red T-bones in this list because once you get Mechanoid out, being able to play this first in like if they have one piece of equipment left. I actually had this happen against a Bravo today. They had their chest piece still up, their tectonic plating, and they hadn't blocked with it yet. And being able to block with or throw T-bone out there and say, hey, give me your tectonic plating, and then be able to play this for 6 overpower, and they can't block with their equipment because it's on the chain, is super nice. So that's the basis for that. Magnetic Shockwave just is good equipment hate. So that's kind of where we are in the main board. Again, we're just trying to get Nitro Mechanoid out as fast as possible. I would say my 15, 20 games, I average getting it out in the first 5 turns. It's really not that hard. The deck energizes so well, and it's only going to get more synergistic the more I play with it and make like little tweaks. But overall, I'm really enjoying the list. In the sideboard, I'm still playing with this a lot. We have one Blessed of Ingenuity, just in a super long. Most of this is for fatigue. If we put our hyperdrivers in but can't find Mechanoid fast enough and they finally die, especially our ones that aren't tokens, we're able to go get them with Blessed of Ingenuity and then play it out really quick. Firewall is basically a pseudo defense reaction, even though I know it's not a defense reaction because you can't play it from Arsenal. But this allows us to have a 4 block in our deck that is also a Mechanologist attack, so we don't have to worry about missing. Overload script, I actually like this in like fatigue game plans because you can put this out at the end of a turn, and then your next turn just be able to push a little bit more damage, especially with high rate attacks. I'm still messing with this slot, but I haven't minded overload script yet. Rotary Ram's also really good for fatigue because if you've boosted this turn, put Rotary Ram at the bottom of your deck. So it's a 3 power buff that blocks 3 that also automatically goes back into your deck if you just boost. So it's just a continuous pump, which is really nice. And then finally, Underloop I have in here for Dromai as well as any fatigue deck to be able to say if it hits, put it at the bottom of your deck, just some more recursion. So the list feels pretty good right now. I'm really going to try to mess with the ratios, but it is the simplest game plan. You are trying to get 3 drivers quickly and then play Nitro Mechanoid, and then after that you just push. I can say like the ideal setup like from the start of the game is you go first. You ideally there's a couple ways you could do it. You could boost 1 card, activate Maxx, not crank it, have 1 driver, Arsenal. Then hopefully turn 2 you run into one of these drivers. You boost, taking 1 tick off of your token that you made on turn 1, crank it, or not crank, but then you activate Maxx, crank it, make your second driver, drop this in, crank it, then you can Banksy if you want, and now you have 3 drivers turn 2, and then going into turn 3, you can play this. Or there's other ways, like with Expedite and MetaX, being able to drop that second driver in. Basically, if you find one of these drivers in turn 2 or turn 1, you're going to have your Nitro Mechanoid, or possibly have your Nitro Mechanoid by turn 3. Where it gets a little weird is if you get that out that early and then all of a sudden you don't bind this for like 10 plus cards, you can have to use stuff like gas up and recharge in order to keep your stuff going. But overall, the deck is so synergistic. I mean, right now there's 3, 6, 9, 12 cards in the main board that give counters back to your drivers. And then there's 3, 6 cards that drop drivers in, or 9 cards technically if you boost it away that drop drivers in, and then a 10th in gas up. So I mean, that's really good. That's like a 30-year deck. Either keeps drivers alive or puts drivers back. So super easy to get to that 3 mark. High octane is what you're trying to do once you get the Nitro Mechanoid out. I literally today was playing a Bravo, and I got a 4 charge high octane turn. So I was able to boost 3 times, going up to 4 action points after playing high octane. And then I was able to swing a Nitro Mechanoid 4 times. So 6 times 4 is 24, and I think I attacked for 38 total damage. It was 24 with the Nitro Mechanoid, and then 14 damage between 3 boost cards. I know I did a blue throttle, I think a zipper hit, and then a 0 to 60. I think 38 damage turn. Super crazy. Even a Bravo that was trying to fatigue still took I think it was 15 damage even after fully blocking out and using some armor. So super fun. I think this is going to be one of the best ways to play Maxx. Now, is it, are there different ways to play Maxx? Sure. I think this one is a really cool thing to explore. I also think maybe a mid-range galvanized build would be really cool with Maxx, making a hyperdriver and then blocking for 4 on your turn, just continuously doing that. We'll have to see. I'm not sure if that's worth it yet or not, but I want to experiment with that just for fun. But this list is super consistent. It's not just straight aggro. It's hard for your opponent to fatigue you if you get Nitro Mechanoid out fast. It really solves the problem of fatigue, which I think was Maxx's biggest question mark. And this deck gets out Nitro Mechanoid way better than Boost Dash ever did, or Mechanoid Dash ever did. So that's kind of like your answer to how do you race Boost Dash. It's you get Nitro Mechanoid out. So let me know what your thoughts are on the list. I'm super excited about it. I think this is the way I would play Maxx going forward, at least unless we have another epiphany. But I think it's a really good start. And yeah, I want to know your thoughts. Any kind of small ratios you would change, or just in general what your thoughts are on Maxx, how you're taking them going into the new set. Definitely try us out on Talishar. Let me know what your thoughts are. It's pretty fun. Definitely something that you can mess with and have your own, play style too. But yeah, if you enjoy this type of content, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. If you don't, it's totally fine. Go to our Fleshbug creator, leave a like, comment, subscribe on their stuff so we can get more people seeing this game. A lot of good creators doing a lot of good stuff in the new set. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk. Thank y'all so much. Have a nice night.